Good morning. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Maddog Merv. Uh, we have, for once, a cloudy, overcast morning, which is really not what I had expected today, but I'll take it. It's nice and cool. Cool is in, mid upper 60s, so not too bad. But not expecting any moisture today that I know of. But I didn't expect clouds when I woke up this morning either. So, welcome to the show today. Ah, that'll open your eyes. That's good. I still have a frog in my throat. I can't seem to get him exercised. Maybe I need what do you call it, a froggy exorcist or something. I don't have. Anyway. So, for our shout out today, Jim's Model Car World, I believe it is. No, that quick and I forgot. Jim's Model Car World. I'm sure it is. I'll check it. I'll come back to the description later and I'll put it in there. So, anyway, Jim's got an amazing beard. Okay, number one. That makes him cool. And he is entertaining to watch. I enjoy his content, and I'm sure I've mentioned him before, but now's a good time to mention him again. Check him out, Jim's Model Car World. I'm still kicking the sand out of the eyes. So let's see, what did we do last week? Oh, we painted that Kraken. Good morning, Chris. So that Kraken. Chris, you remember the days way the heck back. The old Great Models hobby store. And at that time, I think it was Alclad came out with a line of paints. Besides just their Alclad chrome, they came out with some different metal colors. But they also came out with these color shift colors. And as far as I know, at the time, they were the first color shift colors out there on the market for model cars and whatnot. And so I picked some up. And remember, this was like 2000, okay? And I painted, it was a 98 Cobra convertible that I painted with it. Unfortunately, it went from like kind of a red burgundy to a metallic bronze, and that wasn't a good color choice, but it did its job in color shifting. It was pretty neat. I think I've still got it around somewhere in my collection of Mustangs, which is vast. Anyway, so I had something happened to my connection. Sorry. Anyway, for Halloween, we've got this Kraken. My son had bought this Kraken. Hey, 125 rods. Good morning. How you doing, man? Hopefully it's beautiful where you are. It is nice and beautiful here, by the way. Just not sunny at the moment. Anyway, with this Kraken, it's just painted with a cheap black paint, and it's that crappy. Remember when I did those artillery shells for Loic at Great Models, not Great Models, at Kit Links a couple of years ago, and I had a hard time getting the paint to stick. Well, same kind of plastic. It's some ABS type plastic and it's like it's not even really a sprinkler pipe. It has a lot of static electricity charge to it. Even after you paint it, you get near to it, and the hairs on your arm or leg stand up. It's a weird plastic to try and paint. Anyway, any bump that it would get just would show the white underneath. Too bad they didn't mold it in black plastic. I digress. Yeah, I did, M. Johnson. I worked in sanitation. Actually, I was a school custodian for over 25 years. Started out when I was 14 years old, after school, dumping trash in classrooms and vacuuming classrooms. So I worked in sanitation for a long time. Uh, and then kind of the career took off at a certain point and wound up on this national committee trying to find better and safer products to go into schools so that it's a healthier environment. So, speaking of Tim Wainsgard, yeah, absolutely. Um, Here's the thing, isn't so I knew a few Wainsgards, but I knew Tim. I knew a Tim, knew of Tim. Okay, he's your uncle. There was a Wainsgard who worked for Davis County Schools who died in a really horrific motorcycle accident right after he left the, because he was the union rep for all the union custodians. Okay, man, I'm so sorry. Oh, I don't know why this connection keeps coming in and out, irritating me. Um, yeah, he had left a meeting with a friend of mine just moments before and got to the main road. I can't remember what the first main intersection is there, but right by the hospital even. But even at that, couldn't save him. That was rough. That was rough for all of us in management, because even though I didn't know him well, I knew of him. I'd seen him. I'd met him. Yeah, man. My condolences. I mean, that was what, 4 years ago, 5, something like that. Yeah, small world. It really is. Unfortunately, I got a lot of those sad stories that I try to repress a lot. But when I went to paint this yeah, so you want some tips, okay? Easton, you want some tips, okay? Keep practicing. I'm always practicing. I'm always trying to learn new things. With that said, I have a friend that is into... He spends too much time on the internet, so he checks out the latest and greatest, this, that, and the other thing, and, hey, we should try this, hey, try that, and buys, the latest, greatest paint and whatnot. So I've worked in the hobby industry now for close to 30 years. And I learned a lot because I used to use, like everybody, tube glue, and then I moved up to that, the black label by Testors that has the little pinhole beetle thingy. Anyway, I would use that, and that was pretty good glue. The Testors liquid I would hardly ever use because it just didn't dry very quick, and it was tough to use. Then I discovered when I got working in the field this Tamiya ultra thin cement. Now, mind you, most of the guys that I was dealing with at that time were masters from IPMS that were giving me hints on, hey, instead of putting glue on one side and slapping it together and then using rubber bands to hold it together, do this. Put them together, make sure they fit pretty good to begin with, and then use this really thin liquid cement just down the seam. And once you put it there, then hold it together, count to 30, and you're done. I'm like, wow, that sounds too good to be true. But I got to tell you that it's great stuff. And sometimes this was the big selling point for me. Fingers get into glue and leave glue marks, terrible glue marks with a fingerprint. With the Tamiya, if that happens, you go back with some more of that cement over that area and pretty much erase it. It's great. 10X7R was good. I loved that stuff. I don't know what ever happened to it because I moved over to Tamiya before it kind of disappeared. Yeah, 10X7R. Thanks for reminding me about that. That was That takes me way back. I loved that stuff. So I was used to that kind of stuff before I got into Tamiya, if that makes any sense. Using Tamiya glue was a game changer. I could build faster, I could build better, because it was melting the pieces together, okay? And if there's a little gap or something, you know, maybe put a little more glue and press a little harder. And so I found that I was now building models with almost no gaps, almost no seams. Very easy to sand because it's, well, it's just plastic. There's not some other material in there. And if I could give anyone a tip on how to build better models, how to build faster, how to build more, better, just better. Okay, that's enough. Rocket. Tamiya ultra thin cement, hands down. When it comes to paints, you guys know that I like the old enamels. Yeah, the latest and greatest and this and that, and there's the enamels nowadays, and they tend to go away after a short period of time. You know, those little extra color things that come from England, they're great, but man, they're hard to get. Anyway, the paints nowadays have good pigments. Some of them are better than others. Like Tamiya doesn't brush worth a damn, but it sprays well. The good old Polyscale or Poly S, whatever it was the first acrylic that I used. That was great. You could brush paint that stuff, and it was awesome. I absolutely love that. I might even have a little bit left somewhere. The problem is it would separate, and then it would, you know, would become unviable. You'd get little chunks in it and whatnot, and then it was just game over. You couldn't use it anymore. So, too bad, because that stuff was good. But I liked Floqual. I liked Testers. those were some of my staples for years, and my supply is running way low on both, because eventually they do dry up, or they do just go bad. So, anyway, there's my tip for you for today. So. But okay, back to speaking of paints. So I had seen this Kraken. I thought, I need to paint this thing a base coat of black, just 2X, you know, Rust-Oleum 2X, semi-gloss black, and it looked really good with black. But I wanted something really cool. And I had seen, I belonged to a couple of different Halloween groups on Facebook, and I had seen some people try these color shift paints from some other companies I hadn't used. Rust-Oleum's got a new line that's really, really nice, actually. And like, wow, that looks pretty good. I wonder what I can do with it. So you saw the results last Monday. Used a little bit of really cool, one of the Chevy automotive colors to make my highlights, and then I went over it with this color shift paint. One thing you got to remember when you're dealing with stuff outdoors, it needs to be protected well. I remember some of the cars that I've painted. The first time I did a 2-stage paint, and I used a clear coat, urethane, that wasn't really good, and it flaked off like in months. So you got to use, you know, good quality stuff. The Rust-Oleum spar varnish is pretty decent, and I need something that's going to hold up with mainly the sun, but the rain and the wind and whatnot around here. The sun just ruins everything. Really, it'll rot. It'll rot everything around here. Sorry, somebody must be walking by with a dog, and this is what I get every morning. So you got Rocco, who's the alarm, and then Cruella barking at Rocco because he's barking. And Rocket's just kind of interested. Oh, what's this? Maybe I should bark. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. These dogs. They are entertaining, and I love them. But I wouldn't trade them for the world. Hi, Gypsy. Yeah. She's shedding right now. I could actually brush her once, and I'd have enough fur to make another animatronic dog, you know. Okay, enough! Enough! Anyway, that was fun. But keep in mind, it wasn't just about the Kraken. It's about using this color shift paint on all sorts of other stuff. And I've got another animatronic that we'll look at in a few weeks that I had some left in the can, so I went ahead and used it, and we'll show you how that turned out. So speaking of animatronics, you see I got the Headless Horseman back here. My son picked up a dragon, and yes, he does have smoke come out of his mouth on demand. There's a little remote that we use. He lights up and he growls. It's pretty cool. And you can see over here my first mate. We'll talk about him some other time. And then right here, this is what I was working on this week, is my drunken pirate. So we got Skinny over here, and I got a tub for him, and I fashioned a bottle, and we'll go over this in a few weeks. And plug him in, and he perpetually is drinking. Water's coming out. So water, I've got colored water in it so that it glows in the dark. It's kind of fun. Okay, Cruella, bring me your ball. Bring me your ball. Usually she'll, because she likes to play ball. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at here. The Kraken, I'm going to move him over here. You can see I've got the ship's captain over there behind the wheel, and he's up and working. And then the Kraken is back behind him. And at night, that Kraken is really neat. Okay, enough. Good Lord. Okay, so this week on the main show, which is tomorrow, remember that? Sorry. Remember that Japanese tank that I built just recently? That I reviewed just recently? That's kind of a fantasy tank, 1946 stuff. Okay, Cruella, bring me your ball. Give me your ball. So I went ahead and built that. And like I had mentioned before, the company that is on the sprues is Model Collect. I can't remember what the box said. It's like, I don't know, Joy or Happy or some stupid name. Thank you. I don't understand this whole reboxing every other week under a different name. You know, because there's all these manufacturers down one street in some little province in China that they just pass the mold back and forth, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. But they put out this kit, it's basically an E50 chassis. So, you know, again, it's fantasy. It's off of blueprints that they found somewhere in Germany, and the premise behind it, I believe, is that late in the war, you know, there was some Lend-Lease going on, and they did send him a tiger and a panther. I know that, but this goes a little bit later than that. So this has a lot of German armor undertones in it, because that's what it is. But it does have Japanese machine guns on it, which is really cool. And the reason I picked it up was that and the markings. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta have this. So we're gonna cover that tomorrow. Let me just forewarn you, this kit's a pile of crap. I wish that the research and engineering sucks. Kind of depends on who's got the mold at the time. This one, the engineering wasn't very good. It's got link and length tracks, which normally wouldn't bother me too much. These bothered me. These were horrid. The road wheels were horrid. All of that running gear was horrid. The fit of the kit was horrid. Going back to using Tamiya glue, and then using Tamiya glue to make sprue goo, which helps fill in seams and stuff. And if you haven't seen Sprue Goo video, please check it out on Tips and Tricks. And Sprue Goo is basically you take some leftover runner from your kit, cut it up into small pieces, and put it into a bottle of ultra thin cement. Let it sit for a day or so, and you got to get the right consistency, because if it becomes too thick, I mean, it should be like I don't know, I want to say concrete, wet concrete. You know, it should be runny, but not thin and runny. It's hard to describe. Check out the video. Anyway, it works great because it's plastic. It's melted plastic, and once the carrier off gases, you're left with plastic, which is great. So instead of some other filler that you're having to sand along with your plastic, it's just plastic. So thanks to that and the ultra thin cement, I was able to make it presentable. If I really had cared, I would have spent longer on some of those seams, but I really didn't care, honestly. For what I'm doing with it, it's not ever going in a contest. I probably won't see the light of day, other than you folks, honestly. But I did get it finished, and we are going to have a show on it. So there. On the Kit Hoarder Stash this last week, we were looking at the two figure sets that were sent to me. So I had ordered this one that I thought I didn't have it. And it turns out when I get into another area of the doghouse, I find all of these figures, and yes, I already had it. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. I've got another set now. Great. I can use more Marines and more Japanese figures. That'll be great. Well, when it shows up, and it came pretty quick. It was there within a week. Once I got it and I open it up, it's the wrong thing. True, it's by Masterbox, but it's the British paratroopers at Arnhem, and it's a neat set. But I've already got that set. Don't really need that set, but hey, what the heck? So I just sent him a nice, sorry it got goofed up. Can I send it back and get the right one? What do you want to do? The guy responds to me and he says, I'm sorry for the mistake. I will get this remedied. 2 days later, I get a message from him, and he says, okay, the right one has been sent. You go ahead and keep the one that we sent you, as our saying sorry for the mistake. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool of you. I know of other companies that don't have that good of customer service when they make a mistake. And I was more than willing to send it back to him. It wasn't that big of a deal, but he says, no, go ahead and keep it. I'll get this out. And he sent it, I can't remember how the postage was on it, but it came faster than the first one. I mean, it was there in like 3 days now. So I'm like, wow, this guy knows and understands customer service. I don't want him to feel, I work in the industry, not like I used to, but I still dabble in the industry, and I know what it's like. No, I'm not going to let this guy just take a bath on it. So I went ahead and put a link up for this guy's store and told him I would promote his store on eBay, because this guy doing business the way he does, I know it's tough. I know he's struggling, but he's still got this kind of customer service. Yeah, please check him out. And the link is in the description on that video. So if you're going to get something off eBay, particularly figures, but whatever else, just check his link out, see what he's got, and know that this is a reputable place. If they make a mistake, they're going to make it right, and they're good to do business with. So there you go. This week on the stash, I got a bunch of stuff. I've got a 37 millimeter towed anti-tank gun, which is what my dad used in World War II. We're going to be reviewing that probably this week. I'm not 100% sure because I've got a couple of other things that have come in that that I've made videos of, review videos of. So we'll see. We've got something coming up on the stash though this week. Hopefully you guys will like it. So back to what's been going on here. So besides finishing that tank, it's Halloween season, and you guys know what that means for me. This year, there's been a lot of animatronics. So between different family members pitching in and ponying up, and I bought one, you know, but I bought Captain Cuts behind us here. So let's take a look. See, there's Captain Cuts. Yep, guarding the fountain. So anyway, that and the first mate, I actually bought them. But the rest of the family got the rest of the stuff. So trying to get these so I'm happy with them. So you can see, like right here on the first mate, this bottle looked horrible. And getting attacked by flies. Guess I should have showered sometime this month. Oh, I don't know, but whatever it is. The bottle looked horrible. So it had this big old weld seam down the middle of it. So I had to remove that. Thank goodness it was plastic. It was easy to do. And then I sanded that. Went over it with some craft paint and what was in the craft paint? Well, we're just going to call it Future. Those of us who've been in the for a while know what Future is. It's that Johnson & Johnson, the acrylic floor finish. It's got a whole bunch of different names since then. They change it like every other week. I think they must have been bought by a Chinese company because they change the name every other week. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Future, and it's harder and harder to get. Fortunately, I have a bunch. So I mixed some of that with some brown craft paint, painted this bottle. So it's got a nice shine to it now. Looks brown like it's supposed to. Actually have a cork. I have a bunch of corks, but this particular cork came from a trip back to Virginia I made a couple years ago, and just one of those fun things I picked up. So it's in there. And then I picked up these labels. They're like 100 labels for $4. I couldn't pass that up. So I got that, slapped it on there, and hey, got a nice looking bottle. But I've been doing a bunch of these upgrades to these animatronics to make them, you know, more something I would be like if I did the animatronic. Here's what it would look like. So still got a ways to go on some things. I've still got 2 in the doghouse that I'm working on. My guitarist, my Reaper guitarist, and you guys are gonna, I think you guys are gonna like how that turned out. And my Dean, the deathologist, which is the bartender. It looks like a bartender from a speakeasy back in the day. Well, he did, till I redressed him, gave him a new hairdo, a few other things, and upgraded him. Now he is a pirate bartender. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff this week. Where this all ties in is modeling in general. If I am like this color shift paint, I'm using it on this animatronic in the backyard. Where did its origins come from? Well, for me, it was from painting model cars. And in the case of using the spray can, teenage years, let's just see these guys. Removing the seam from that bottle. Okay, that was something from, again, my modeling. I learned from doing different modeling techniques. Hey, here's how you. What is climbing on me? I'm being climbed on. How to remove these seams. How to use a gloss finish besides just something that you spray on with an airbrush. You'll notice that in the Kraken video, I went to use my spray can. My spray can was spitting. So I said, fine, I'll just decan it use my airbrush. I did, and got the results that you guys see with those highlights and those streaks. I was going to use my cordless airbrush, but by the time I got it out and got it all ready to go, I'd already finished the project. But that cordless airbrush is really neat for just such a thing like this. If I wanted to do some touch up on one of these guys out here, that cordless airbrush, plug it in, get it charged, put the paint in it, and come do it. It's really a neat tool. Really like that one. I'm very, there's no other word I can really use but grateful. I'm really grateful for the experience that I've had in modeling over the years, because it allows me to do things like enhance these animatronics. See, he's got new pearly white teeth, even though they shouldn't have pearly white teeth. They should be more like what Skinny's got over here. But I wasn't going to take all these teeth out, and his head's a little big and his teeth are a little big, and I'm like, no, I'm going to leave him, but I'm going to give him a set of pearly whites, and I'm going to throw a few gold ones in there. Well, okay, most folks that would try something like that would try just, gold, to me, a gold paint, which doesn't brush well. No. And yeah, you'd have a gold tooth, but it wouldn't look like a gold tooth. Where that's the Molotow Chrome with that varnish that orange varnish I put over it. Did a video on that a couple years ago, and you can see how that turned out. It looks like a darn gold tooth. It looks pretty good. So thank goodness for what I've learned in modeling, because it helps in in so many different things in my life. Repairing, for one thing. I'm the repair guy around here. So if something gets broken, if the kids have a toy, which toys are cheap and they break real quick, they bring them to Grandpa. Grandpa does his best to fix them, even though they're out of cheap plastic that's just going to break again in another 10 minutes. I still do my best to fix them and make them right. Sometimes we'll get some of these I don't want to say pottery, these porcelain pieces. Like a couple of years ago, the witch that had the busted nose and the busted ear and the busted finger, and I had to make those out of a clay-like substance. Again, a modeling product that you'd use for like making sandbags. So mixed some of that stuff up, did the best I could. I'm not a sculptor at all, but just kind of, did the best I could to blend it all in. Use some of the chemicals I've got to make it nice and smooth, and then paint it with paints that will hold, not just regular old craft paint, but paints that will hold to the material that I'm using. So for me, modeling is, I hate to say it in my life, but it's a good chunk of my life. And again, not just building kits and painting kits, but the experience and the knowledge that it's brought me. So anyway, tomorrow we're going to be looking at that tank. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a kit hoarder stash. And I think that's about all I got for you guys today. So I'm going to go get some more fun stuff done with Halloween, and we will see you guys tomorrow for this show on this I think Kago or whatever it is. Not Hago, but Cowgo, something like that. Anyway, this Japanese fantasy tank. So thanks for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have the rest of a great day. I'm going to finish my coffee because it's getting cold now.